Hi everybody, Jim Egan, head of school, Synapse School with a Friday update, September 1. It's the start of the unofficial end of summer. Feels like summer ended about a month ago for me, but it is a long weekend, remember, Monday's off. I think you're not gonna forget that. Some kids have told me they're bummed out that they're not coming to school on Monday, but I hope all of you have a great weekend. Staff too, please get some rest as we head into September, which can be a really long month. Actually, it's one of the longer months during the school year. Vacations sort of break up many of the other months, but September is pretty long. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, we just had our middle school overnight, very successful. I was bringing in some of the extra supplies, the remaining food. There wasn't much remaining food, so they were fed well, I'm assuming. Lower school had their first assembly as a contained unit without the middle schoolers there today. So lower school had an assembly, went well. Kids are really involved in the construction and the facilitation of that assembly, right? They're the ones leading the song, they're leading the dance, they're leading the telling of the joke. Katie Morgan was the MC. She was extraordinary at that job. So there's lots of things happening here. Our coffee this past week, my coffee, I should say, on Thursday, that was well attended. Thank you. More people came than ever before, so I'm gonna have to think about how I structure that event going forward. I may give you a prompt or a topic ahead of time to help lead discussions. And again, come on in. The Capella Block Room is bustling each morning with block building with kids and parents and teachers. After school programs are starting or have started. Lower school, middle school kids, all are welcome, and the energy and the warmth are really evident and ongoing, which is just super. Something that just started that I wanted to point out, it started in earnest, I would say, this week, was our academic program, right? Our projects will start getting built out, but we're really assessing where kids are right now, particularly in reading, writing, and as I mentioned before, we'll be bringing in map testing to do much of that this month. First, we have to get trained as a collective staff on that technology and on that platform. But we're gonna be setting baselines for individual students and for classes, and then looking at those skills, because we are educating change makers and we are wildly creative and innovative, and we're deeply committed to social and emotional learning, but we're also an academic powerhouse, right? We're leading edge. And what does that mean? Well, this is what it means. It means that we're rethinking school, rethinking academics. We're using projects in a real meaningful way to deliver the academic content. We have a brainwave learning center, so we have neuroscientists on staff talking with teachers and kids about how to teach in an effective way that works best for the brain. That's really the leading edge stuff. But we also, like every school, teach math, teach reading, teach writing. And let me go into some of the goals around reading, writing, literacy, and mathematics, right? Number one, we want kids who need to fly to fly. We talk about providing high ceilings in projects and providing extensions in the discrete domain work in math, in reading and writing. So we want kids who are ready to go and take off to take off. We also realize that there are some kids that need a low floor, right? So kids, number two, kids who need some extra help are gonna get that too. Projects are gonna start with a low floor for those who need it, right? Some of those kids may be coming in to upper level grades and they need to get used to what we're doing as a school, but also there are kids who need help, direct instruction. That's why we built out a learning center. We have a top-notch staff of learning specialists, both in math and in literacy. We have leadership there that have delivered an incredible program. So we're providing those extensions so kids who are ready to fly can fly. And we're providing the foundational skills, right? Building that foundation for those kids who need that first. And the overarching goal, right, academically speaking, is that all kids are prepared for that next step. So that means lower school kids rising into the middle school, where literacy becomes more reading intensive, writing expectations are higher, and mathematics, skill-wise, right, fluency-wise, also begins to get more vigorous and more challenging. Those lower school kids are ready for that in middle school. They're ready for algebra. They're ready to take these things on. Now, for middle school kids that are rising up to high school, this means they're ready for that math sequence that, whether you like it or not, sometimes I don't like it, the math sequence that is that abounds in basically every high school out there, they're ready for that, right? They're ready to take on that next level, and they're prepared. And again, we're going to bring in assessments this year to make sure we have really concrete data that our teachers can then think about and talk to the students and the parents about as they exit 8th into 9th grade. And also the reading and writing that is amplified once you get into high school. They're gonna be ready for that. So that's really, really important. We want all kids who are ready to fly, all kids who need a foundational refresh or need extra help, they're gonna get that too, and that all kids are ready for that next step into middle school, or the middle schoolers into high school. And at the same time, most importantly to me as a head of school, that we be conscious and hold deeply to the belief that an achievement culture, which is around us, I get it, that achievement culture doesn't become toxic. That's where social and emotional learning comes in. That's where our emphasis on creativity and problem solving and learning to learn for the sake of learning comes in, right? Teaching kids to love learning, teaching kids agency, teaching kids about who they are, how to be as a human being. That's where human development comes in. I know, like, the reality is achievement culture is a thing, and that we as a school are dedicated to providing safe harbor away from that. But that larger ecosystem that we sit in is something we have to prepare kids for. Now, parents, you chose Synapse, so you believe this too, but something you can do at home that we do here also to make sure that we sort of buttress that achievement culture that can become toxic. Not always, but it can. What we use here is our values, right? We are holding to our values. I talk about them all the time at staff meetings, when we're just in the hallways. They're a part of our vernacular. All of our teachers and staff know that we are positive, that we give the benefit of the doubt, that we take care of ourselves and each other. Those are three of our values. We have a few more too. So what I would suggest you do, you can look at our values, and if you don't have them available, just ask me, I'll send them to you. And at home, talk openly with your kids about your values, right? Have a number of conversations with them. Don't just have one conversation a year about values. Take a minute or two, hundreds of times a year, to talk about what you value. Ask your kids if they see these values that you're talking about showing up in how you act, right? Because that's something you should be paying attention to as well. You might say something, but are you actually messaging something different, right? So also, as you talk about values, take an inventory of what you're actually doing, right? If you're saying, we as a family, just like Synapse, believe in taking care of ourselves and each other, and then you look at your child's schedule after school and on weekends, and it's packed, are you really taking care of each other in your house? That might be a question you might have to ask yourself, right? Does the message of a packed after school and weekend not mesh with our value, or even Synapse's value, around taking care of ourselves and each other? Because I know here at school, I have to think about that all the time. Another one of our values is we go all in, right? So, and sometimes that means we sprint. So what are we doing as a school? We're looking at the schedule, we're looking at free time for teachers, not loading too much in terms of duties and extras. Are we providing sustenance food and drink, coffee? Are we providing opportunities for them to be well after school, right? So something that we've done in the past, and in a message to staff again, is that we've been providing funds for them to join health clubs and wellness centers too, right? So we're gonna really try to not only talk about this, but actually show this as well. You can do the same thing at home. You can follow our lead. You can ask for our help. No one has been doing SEL in such a deep way as long as we have. Yes, we have a startup ethic and ethos. We're sort of a startup that's in perpetual startup mode, which is great. I know a lot of people are excited about that too, who find us as a school. But we've been doing it long enough to know that there are some core elements on how to raise human beings and prepare them at the same time for that larger educational ecosystem that is beyond our campus. Okay, those are my thoughts. Have a super long weekend. See you next week.